Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Would ask that you please take your seats, and we'll get started here momentarily. Thank you for being here. Well, once again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome on behalf of Fort Lewis College and our Department of Athletics. We're thrilled that you're here. My name's Travis Whipple. Have the outstanding honor to serve as your Director of Athletics and Master of Ceremonies today. What an incredible weekend, dedicated to a historic soccer program. You can just feel the buzz around our department, around the community, and just amazing to connect with so many of you last evening, to share stories and to truly get to know one another. We're thrilled today to celebrate our past, honor an incredible group that means so much to our community and our institution, and reflect on the impact that FLC soccer has had on so many, and also get to look ahead at our future as well today. You know, tradition is a core value for our Department of Athletics. We fully understand that we're not here unless those that came before us truly paved the way, and you all have done that. We're excited to recognize excellence from former student athletes within our Hall of Fame, teams, coaches, staff, and others that have been associated with FLC. And the Hall of Fame is an excellent way to do that. This is our 24th overall class to be inducted today. You will be joining 155 individuals and 7 teams, consisting of Fort Lewis College's all-time greats. Needless to say, today is a great day to be a Skyhawk. And before we get into that, you know, certainly events like today don't just happen, and we have such an incredible team that has been planning and working on this event, and just really excited to recognize the group today. We've got an outstanding meal from Serious Texas Barbecue, a great partner of ours, and I understand I'm standing between you and that, so I'll keep that moving along here very quickly. But a few people on our staff that have really worked so hard on the event. Want to first recognize and acknowledge Julie Tapley-Booth, who really did a ton of organization and work behind the scenes, so thank you, Julie. Guy Meyer. Guy Meyer in the back does so much for our department, fills in everywhere we need him, does an outstanding job with our external relations as well. So thank you, Guy. Thank you to Angela Roberts, who serves as our sports information director, does a ton promoting today's event graphically, social, etc. So thank you, Angela. A few other quick thank yous are our physical plant services for their setup, our CATS team, audio visual over here, we love those guys. Our student athlete advisory committee wanted to be here today to interact and meet with you and learn about our tradition, so excited to have them here with us. Our administrative staff and our coaches, thank you so much for investing in our student athletes. I also want to acknowledge an incredible selection committee. They're noted in your program, a thorough job of always evaluating and putting forth the very best inductees. So thank you to our selection committee. And I want to take just a minute to talk about this class. And I know we'll have presenters coming up that will highlight each of them. But this is an amazing class, unbelievable. And I know in listening to stories last night that there's so many in this room, from teammates to family members, best friends, etc., that have been a part of that journey and know that you've played a huge role in the success of this class. So we're excited to recognize everyone in the room here today. This class has set school records by the hundreds. All conference, all region, all American honors, national players of the year, professional players, national coaches of the year, Power 5 coaches, coaches that have influenced and gone out from Fort Lewis and influenced so many different levels of soccer. RMAC champions, regional champions, national champions. This group defines what it means to be a champion. And most important, just incredible people who have made such an impact on the community here, on Fort Lewis College, on the game of soccer, and it is truly a lasting impact. The achievements of this group have paved the way. I can tell you my own personal journey in evaluating coming to Fort Lewis, and it was looking at the success of this group. And I know so many have also made the selection to come to Fort Lewis College because of the framework that you've put into place. Knowing the history, knowing the tradition, knowing that anything is possible right here in Durango. So we thank you to the class. We're excited to hear more about each and every one of you here in a little bit. I want to take just a moment, and then I'll get out of the way and we'll get to lunch, but I want to take a moment to give you an update on our Department of Athletics, because we're really excited about our future and to build on the successes of this group. Our mission is very simple. It's about graduating champions. We want to prepare every student athlete to be successful in life, to walk across this stage with a degree, ready to make an impact in the communities they serve. At the same time, we want to compete for championships. We want to compete at the highest level. And so putting those two things together, we're really about graduating champions. We want to build a program of excellence that makes you proud. Our departmental core values are greatness, respect, innovation, or tradition, or grit, as it breaks down to. We feel like you got to have grit to be successful in anything. There's going to be ups and downs, and we've got to persevere and move forward, and again, make you proud. I want to share some highlights from the year. We've had an incredible athletic and academic year here on campus. It started for me back in July. We wanted to do a full departmental review and really look at all aspects of our department and put ourselves in the best position to be successful as a group. Through that process, we're building a strategic plan and a facilities master plan, which we're really excited about, and nearing the finish line on those projects. We had a 3.27 cumulative GPA as 400 student athletes this fall. We had over 2,000 hours of community service. We had all-American, all-conference, and all-region honorees. We've had regular season champions, conference tournament champions, NCAA bursts, and more. We've got some exciting facility enhancements happening. If you haven't walked next door, we'd love to show you around. That building's about to open up here in a month or so. All new locker rooms for our women's sports programs over there. So thrilled about that. We added the lights at Dirks Field, and I can't tell you how awesome that has been for our game environments. The mini pitch or the arena in the corner has been an awesome place for our community to gather and our student athletes to practice. In December, we announced a $4 million commitment to a performance center for strength and conditioning, athletic training, physical therapy, and nutrition that will be done in roughly 12 months' time for our student athletes. We've put an emphasis on game environment, on marketing our programs, on getting fan attendance, which has led to a top 10 finish here through our winter sports seasons nationally. We're in the midst of relaunching the Skyhawks Club, and in August we will have a signature fundraising event, Saturday, August 5th. We'd love to see you there. We're about continuous improvement, and it's time to bring this program back to the top and make you proud. So again, thank you so much for being here. I would like to take a moment to recognize our current Hall of Famers. So if you are in our Hall of Fame as a team, as an individual, as a contributor. Would you please stand at this time to be recognized? Current Hall of Fame members. Means so much that you were able to make it here. Thank you. This is always your program. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. This is a historic weekend. We're excited to celebrate you, to get to know you, and just have a wonderful time. So we're going to break for lunch. We'll be back to meet all of our inductees here shortly, and would ask that we start in the front to get in line for lunch, and then we'll be back here in a little bit. Thank you. Go Skyhawks. Well, welcome back, everyone. Please continue to enjoy your meals. If you're in line, feel free to finish through. And we're going to get back and get started here with our program and meet our inductees here momentarily. So we'll give it a moment, and we'll be right back. All right, excited to meet our class of inductees. Our first presenter, we'd like to welcome to the podium, an alumni Hall of Fame member, Luke Cisna. Come on up.
Is that going to happen? All right, I'll leave it there. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. So I did practice. The days of writing the speech on the bar naps is over. And I'm pumped up to be here. Yeah, let's go. What's up? Woo! All right, hey, so yeah, I am nervous. There are a lot of friends in this room and a lot of people connected to Fort Lewis soccer. It's great to see everyone. I felt like a deer in headlights last night and even right now. Yeah, it's a real honor to be here, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who's nervous in this room. I bet some people are nervous about what I might say. I won't let you down. I'm nervous that my getaway car tonight could be a moped. That might be a story for before I get away tonight. I'm nervous that someone's speech might be 45 minutes long. I'm nervous because I'm a passionate FLC soccer supporter, and I'm delivering an induction speech for John Cunliffe. Yeah. FLC's all-time leader in points, goals, assists. He led FLC to their first men's soccer national championship. He was an NCAA Player of the Year. He won multiple RMAC Player of the Year awards, and the list goes on and on and on. Oh, by the way, in 2008, he was named MVP of the RMAC men's soccer all-time team. So yeah, I'm a little nervous. As a fan, I was never nervous when John was playing. It was so much fun to watch him play because he created a lot of goals and FLC won a lot of games. I can imagine opponents were nervous playing against John and those dominant FLC teams. Those were some good teams. I am also nervous about gracefully articulating an induction speech for John because he is a close personal friend of mine. The first time I met John, I was living in Denver and Coach Gunn rang me on the telly, said something clever like, I need you to go pick up these two pasty blokes and bring them to Durango. It was more clever than that. But he was talking about Kieran Hall and John Cunliffe. I was driving a Honda Civic, and my roommate at the time, who's also a Fort Lewis graduate, was riding shotgun down to Durango with us. Kieran and John brought all of their belongings from England to the United States to, go to college, play soccer, start a new life journey. And, well, they sat cross-legged in the back seat with luggage under their feet and luggage on their laps and luggage in the trunk and luggage stuffed all up in the back windshield. And we drove probably close to 2 hours from DIA through Denver rush hour to get to 285, so then we could start the 6-hour trek to Durango. John was so quiet and so shy on that trip. Dare I say, he seemed nervous. I had no idea what impact Fort Lewis College and Durango would have on this guy. Holy shit. But it was John who had a huge impact on Fort Lewis and Durango. Not only did John have a huge positive impact on Fort Lewis and Durango, but he had a positive impact on the RMAC, the NCAA, and multiple other intertwined communities in Colorado and in soccer. I feel fortunate to be one of those people who was positively impacted by John playing at Fort Lewis College. More importantly, I feel fortunate to be impacted by John's friendship and his kindness and his ridiculous sense of humor. So yeah, I'm a little nervous because it's an absolute honor to introduce my friend and badass baller, John Cunliffe, to the Fort Lewis College Hall of Fame. FLC is the motherfucking bomb. Paying respects to mother-loving John. FLC, HOF, man, you know what's next. Let's get John on these decks. Ear. Thanks.
Hi guys, thank you so much for inducting me into the Hall of Fame today. Congratulations to all the other inductees. Don't worry, I made this quick. Said that before. First of all, I'd like to thank Jeremy. He's the person who recruited me back in 2003. Everyone knows what a wonderful coach Jeremy is. His football knowledge, his meticulous preparation, his relentless recruiting, unparalleled work ethic. But it's his influence off the field that really left an impression with me while I was at Fort Lewis. It was the way he held everyone accountable at Fort Lewis, whether you were a redshirt or a senior starter. He expected the same standards from everyone, and it didn't matter if you were at practice or playing a championship game or in class, those suckers that went to class. He expected you to conduct yourself in a certain way at all times. And then when you apply that to your life after college, it puts you in such a better standing. And to have someone in the program or lead a program with that character at a time when you're extremely impressionable is just absolutely priceless. So thank you, Coach, for recruiting me, obviously, and then giving me such a wonderful environment while I was at Fort Lewis. Secondly, I'd like to thank Martin Dirks. Everyone knows that Fort Lewis soccer wouldn't be Fort Lewis soccer without Martin Dirks, and not just the amount of money that he's raised and helped fund for scholarships, but his pride in the program is there for all to see. And I think I've never seen Martin smile so much as when you're at home in a regional tournament or playing an Elite Eight game and you beat the shit out of a Texas team and they're trudging off the field. Sally Sadpants and Martin stood at the side of the field with a big smile on his face and a cigar in his hand. And that pride flows throughout the program, especially when we were winning national championships regularly. And I hope Martin understands the magnitude of his generosity in terms of it's not just about getting a college education and winning national championships, but his pride in the program is there for all to see. And I think I've never seen Martin smile so much as when you're at home in a regional tournament or playing an Elite Eight game and you beat the shit out of a Texas team and they're trudging off the field. Sally Sadpants and Martin stood at the side of the field with a big smile on his face and a cigar in his hand. And that pride flows throughout the program, especially when we were winning national championships regularly. Um, and I hope Martin understands the magnitude of his generation.
Awesome video from John. Can we give and put our hands together one more time for John Cunliffe? Our next presenter, I learned this the other night, Mr. Worldwide, our very own Damian Clark, head women's soccer coach.
I know it's Mr. Worldwide, thank you. I'm not sure exactly how that came about because I'm not quite that fabulous, but I know a player who is, and I'm lucky enough to be up here talking about obviously one of the best players that, if not the best player that's ever been here. But instead of rambling, as I do have a tendency to do, this story is really about a kid that came up here to play basketball. And I'll never forget, like, I get the job. She's already been recruited by Jamie and really by the basketball team. She just decided, like, maybe I'll play soccer too if they'll let me. So I get the job after she's already been recruited, and I make a phone call. I think I was calling all of these girls about, like, hey, we're going to buy you guys cleats this year. I'm not sure what size you wear, or we got this discount deal, and not a single word from Hayley while I'm talking to her. I'm just like, what? Who is this person? And I think a lot of you can probably relate. She doesn't say a lot, man, but an absolute different level of quiet confidence in a person that it's not just about her as a soccer player. It's about her as just a competitor in so many different things. Like, let's play darts. You're going to get smashed, man. Like, let's play pool. You're going to lose. Anybody ever played Beersby? I don't know. I've happened to had a few games against her in Hope and Brian's backyard, and I don't know that I've ever won at anything with Hayley involved, except for when she's playing for my teams. And before I get on to some of the good stories, I woke up this morning and I was thinking, like, God, I gotta say a lot of stuff. What's gonna really impact? And it dawned on me, Hayley, I've never raised a trophy without you on the sideline. Even when I went to Midwestern, I was lucky enough to trick her into coming there and being our goalkeeper coach. So she came there, got her graduate degree, and the one time that we lifted a trophy, winning the Lone Star Conference, Hayley was standing next to me. And I realized that this morning, and man, I thought I was the common denominator in my success. Love you, Hayley. Come back. That was the recruiting spiel. But I mean, I could share a million stories about really the soccer and how many goals she scored and how many big games she helped us win. I'll sort of get to that at the end. But I like some other stories that are kind of, I think, I don't know, a little bit more telling of what this is all about. This is relationships. Like, this whole thing is just people that absolutely, loved being around each other, loved competing together. I think that ends up being why we enjoy being coaches, why we enjoy being on teams. And, then, of course, getting to push yourself as an athlete and compete is just a piece of it. But there's these other stories, and like my favorite is maybe like the one time that Hayley and Jane, they did this thing where they decided to hide the keys from Bree, and they were watching some scary movie, I think the story goes, and they decided they were going to sneak into Bree's room, and Bree at that point was our assistant coach, and like just turn the room upside down, and like make the TV be all staticky and scary, and then they put the keys in the microwave. And then we're standing, you know, a day later, we're standing in the DIA airport, and I see Bree crying behind the van. I've never seen Bree cry before. Like, I've made all these other girls cry at least once. And, like, Bree's crying, standing behind a van in the parking lot. I'm like, what the, are you serious, dude? What'd you guys do? And finally, Jane and Hayley walk over, and they're like, the keys to the van are, I think they're in South Dakota. I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're in the microwave. Like, so yeah, that it was great to find out while we were in the parking lot at DIA. The other one that, I mean, I think is like locked into my brain. A bunch of these girls were here. They were supposed to do like a team bonding event, and like, you girls should take all these freshmen to the hot springs. And I find out the next day that one of the freshman kids she's probably showing up with her day pack, and she's all excited. She's going to the hot springs. I get this phone call, and I think it might have been, I don't know if it was Michelle Felton, but like, I think she's like, Coach, I think the hot springs like team bonder might be canceled, and you might need to come down to I think you guys call it Dick Drive. That's short for Richard Drive, but the girls think it's great to say that, right? And I didn't know this until yesterday. I heard Hayley say that the house that they're renting is the old halfway house. Pretty fitting. So I pull up to Dick Drive, and I'm pretty pissed because I know like this is serious. We're like 3 days away from the kickoff, and as I pull up, I see like, I think Jane's hanging out talking to someone in a Jeep, like in the middle of the street, no shoes on, and then I see like Paige like running like cockroaches around the back of the house, like Niffin, I think like hiding behind a tree, making eye contact, like, oh God, that's him. That's him. We had to sit like 7 kids for, I was so not brave. I had to sit 7 kids for half of the first game. I'm a wuss. And of course, the girls get in, win the game, and then I think the next 4 games in overtime, and that ends up being, you know, the story that obviously I can't write. Only a subscription or a magazine like Sports Illustrated could. She ends up being in the faces of the crowd. And I'm like, from all of this shitty behavior, we're really teaching lessons here. Let's keep winning. And I don't even know. I think that the rest of the stats, it's like, I don't know, 44 goals and 20-something assists. I know all that's going to come out here in a bit. But the bottom line is the quiet, confident person that Hayley was pretty fun to be a part of. And I think this group, for me, obviously, I'll always be indebted to this. It's really built the identity of what this program is and what we talk about. So Hayley, thank you very much, and welcome to the Hall of Fame. Jump up here, Hayley, you're an athlete.
Congrats.
Thanks. What do I do?
I think
Right
we're
here.
gonna look that way.
Yep.
Thank you. Trying. Go off the top now. I had a speech planned. Just kidding. We all know I didn't. Thanks, Damo, for sharing those stories. We didn't know that you were going to share the hot spring story, but it's cool. That's cool. I don't want to cry, but I might. I'm just so happy to be here with everyone. Fort Lewis is my home. It's meant everything to me. It's changed my life. I've met my best friends here. I want to come back, so let's get on that. I love everyone. I love y'all here. I'm glad it's just the Soccer Hall of Fame. Because I would not be up here talking right now. I would have just walked off this stage. But I know almost everyone in this room, and it means so much to me that you're all here. And I just appreciate you all. Congrats to everyone else who's getting inducted. I feel like there's a lot more better people getting inducted, and my team's getting inducted, and that's just what means the most to me. And that the women's team's here and the men's team's here. It's just everything. So thank y'all for coming. Love y'all.
What an incredible ambassador for Fort Lewis College and our Department of Athletics. One more time for Hayley. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the stage a former Skyhawk, friend of the program, someone who's always been willing to step up and help our department, Mr. Zane Wells.
Thanks, Hayley. I had to wipe some tears there. Whew. Anyways, I'm up here to introduce Mr. Oige Kennedy. I think he's a little afraid of what I might say today, so I'll keep it PG. And we'll get into the stats later. I mean, who cares about those, right? But man, has this guy come a long way, literally and figuratively. Who would have thought when he arrived fresh off the boat from Dublin to be the goalkeeper coach for Jeremy in 2006 that we'd be sitting here enshrining Oige into Fort Lewis College athletics history. Fun fact about dear Oige, even though he was born on an island, he can't swim. So if it wasn't for modern technology like boats and planes, he may have never made it over here to America to win so many national championships. Most of us know Oige is not a huge fan of public speaking or schmoozing local supporters, but he was able to nurture a lot of support from our community. We, the team, were sponsored generously by the Irish Embassy throughout our careers, and in turn, Oige sponsored Joel's Bar, which is no longer in business anymore, if anyone was wondering. Without a doubt, he was a target for RMAC referees, and honestly, he would have gotten more yellow cards as a coach if the refs understood what his particular brand of English was saying. In defense, though, there was a lot of shite calls. All jokes aside, Oige was my goalkeeper coach, my assistant coach, my head coach, my boss, and finally, my roommate, and then to this day, my very, very good friend. He's accomplished more than most coaches can even dream of ever attaining. He was pivotal in furthering the men's soccer program successes that Jeremy Gunn started. And I know there are stones and stones more, it's an Irish weight measurement if you're wondering, that he will accomplish in the world of soccer. Although us student athletes may have not seen it clearly when we were under his wings as players, it is obvious now that as his past players here today are thriving in life. And it is apparent that Oige was a detrimental part of laying that foundation in our formidable years as young adults. Today, Ogie's in San Luis Obispo, raising his family, continuing to spread his passion for the game of soccer throughout the college soccer world at Cal Poly. He approaches not only his career with the utmost determination, but is ever so obvious that is very alive with his family as well. Now, a few stats. I had to pull them up because, gosh, so many. The guy has over 100 wins at Fort Lewis College. Crazy, crazy. I mean, how many RMAC championships? Jesus, 4, 5, maybe 6? 2 national championships. I mean, it just goes on, and you'll see it here in a minute. But really, the successes he had here in Durango was raising us to become men. And I'm going to get emotional now. Further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Oige, Oige, Oige.
This is definitely my worst nightmare, public speaking after Luke Cisna and before Jeremy Gunn, so you have to bear with me. You know, I've written things down. I just want to spend the time to say thank you to so many people. It's been, I had an amazing experience here at Fort Lewis, but, you know, so many people that helped me along my journey. But, you know, first and foremost, I want to thank, you know, Jordan, my beautiful wife, who basically allows me to chase my passion, allows me to spend the crazy hours that we do as coaches. Her family, Jason, Jody, Jesse, Justin, who, you know, have welcomed me as part of their family since, you know, just been amazing, so welcoming. My own family at home, our 2 little boys, Ollie and Oscar, you know, all of you guys are the support network that I need to do what I've been able to do, and I'm so thankful for that. I also want to thank FLC. You know, I got hired by, it was President Brad Bartell, and the AD was Kelly Higgins at the time, and I was basically, I think, got the job on the basis that the coach left 2 weeks before preseason, and I don't know if they had a choice, but forever grateful for those guys and their support, and trusting that I could be the coach to take on the program. I want to thank the current AD, Travis, who's, you know, we can see just coming back into a town how passionate you are about not just FLC athletics, but the soccer programs in general, and we're super excited about what you're going to do over the next couple of years and how you're building this out. So thank you for having us all back. We really appreciate it. I do want to thank the Durango community as well. You know, I'm fortunate enough I got to work in lots of different places, lots of different communities all over the world, but, you know, this place is truly, really special. You know, I think a great story that epitomizes it is probably I think it would have been the Elite 8 game against West Texas when, you know, the night before we just got absolutely dumped on with snow. And I remember myself and Obi, we were up there bright and early, shovels in hand. Couldn't even get the gate at Dirks Field open because of the snow. But, you know, we got out there, we started to push snow around, and then, you know, Kelly Higgins came out with his shovel, so there's 3 of us out there, and then all of a sudden, you know, 10, 15 people, DYSA people, FLC alumni, the community, and in about an hour, we had like 70 people that were just clearing the field. It was amazing, and, you know, we got that game on, and I'll remember the coach, who's still the coach at West Texas, his name is Butch, which is very Texan, but he was on the field, you know, there's just no way we can get this game on, there's no way. And then, you know, I could just see his face drop as the godfather of FLC soccer walks on the field and goes, you know what, let's just get a helicopter up here, we could dry the field out. You know, and that was just right there and then just the passion for it. And, you know, it was a special moment for me to see, and that was kind of just sums up, I think, the community and the support. You know, I do want to say a thank you to the FLC alumni as well. You know, the crazy Helms that have allowed me to be a part of your brotherhood, even though, you know, I never went to school here, didn't get to play here, but, you know, ever since I came to town in 2006, they were just a massive welcome. And, you know, every time we go to Denver and you're at Metro and Mines and Regis, and it feels like a home game because those guys are going crazy for you. It was a really special community to be a part of. So I want to say thank you to those guys. I do also want to say a special thank you and just really remember and reflect on two coaches that are no longer with us. You know, Coach Tim, who passed away 2 years ago, was a really significant part in bridging the gap from Jeremy leaving to me taking over, you know, and he had great success, won lots of trophies in the time at Fort Lewis, coached all over the world, grew the sport of soccer, and, you know, he really was an integral part of us being able to have the success we had in 2009. And then as well, you know, Coach Andy McDermott, who, I mean, the years Andy was here and associated with the program, there was no coincidence that it resulted in 3 national championships and 1 runner-up. And, you know, there's a lot of us in the room that, you know, probably went into coaching, you know, based on some of that experience of working with him. So he was a huge part of it. And, you know, those guys are no longer with us, but I do think it's important to reflect on their place they played in the program. And then I got a couple more. So there's 2 people probably that above and beyond anybody else probably are the reason why I got to America. You know, first and foremost, Coach Jeremy, who, you know, has absolutely conquered college soccer. There's no doubt he is the best coach to ever do it. If it exists, he's won it and probably won it 2 or 3 times. Turn on any MLS game this weekend, you'll see players that Jeremy has coached. I mean, just amazing. And so many of us have gone into coaching because of your mentorship. And, you know, I think the thing I'm most grateful for, though, is your friendship. So I want to thank Coach Gunn. And then, obviously, Martin. You know, John talked a great deal about Martin and his support. And look, whether you're on the men's team or the women's team, we all got to use the facilities and everything like that. But there's so many people in the room that, you know, through the foundation, the Gould Foundation and Martin's support, you know, got to experience higher level education that they probably might not have gotten to do. So, you know, Martin was integral in all of that. And, you know, without his ability to give me a platform to come to the U.S., I don't know that I'd ever be here. So for those 2 guys, I'm truly thankful. And look, the other guys will talk more about the team. I want to say thank you to our coaching staff in the 2009 season and the support staff that we had. You know, we had, you know, Obi was probably an absolute rock for me. He was, you know, I'll steal a line from Coach Gunn. You know, he always told me that surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. And we had that in 2009 with the staff. And Obi was integral. He was part of every hard decision we made. He was a consistent figure all year round in that season. And, you know, someone I truly trust and respect and look forward to continue to see him, you know, bringing this program where it keeps going. You know, he was amazing for me. Coach Jason as well, Beswick, you know, he worked with the program 2009, 2011, contributed massively to those 2 national championships. And, you know, it probably doesn't get the plaudits for it, but Jason, you know, worked with the women's program as well. He was a huge influence on everybody. So I want to say thank you to him. You know, we also had, you know, Freddie was part of the staff that year, Brian Fredericks. And, you know, Freddie's energetic, his connection with the community, his love for Fort Lewis was so beneficial to us because as a young staff, we were really, you know, it was great to have that experience, you know, and Freddie, you know, he was just awesome for these guys to see how passionate he was and for them to grow, striving to try and be what those groups were in 2000s, and Freddie was that link. So that was a huge part for us. John, when his pro season got finished, came back and helped. So, you know, there were so many people that helped us along the way. You know, I had Damo 2 doors down who we would constantly be chatting soccer and helping me and decisions and stuff like that. So it really took a village to have the success that the group did. You know, and then the support staff, I think we had Co as a trainer, we had George, we had Wayne as well. So, you know, keeping these guys healthy and on the field was a huge part of the success that we had. So I wanted to thank those guys. And then just lastly to the players, you know, I still recruit today on the basis of what I experienced here. You know, whenever I talk to a player about coming to Stanford or going to Cal Poly, I talk to him about a brotherhood. And it's the brotherhood that I experienced here that I try and sell them on. You know, you guys, I'm so proud of all of you. You know, college is not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. And so many of you guys have stayed in each other's life of being consistent. It's just amazing. We get to go to weddings together. It's awesome. It's the best part of this job. So I wanted to say thank you to the players as well. So thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know who's next.
Thank you, Ogie. It meant so much to us for you to be able to make it back. And we're going to be following all of your success at Cal Poly. One more round of applause for Ogie. Next to the stage, I learned this last night as well, one of two people with 3 rings, an absolute catalyst, game changer, been so instrumental in the success of Fort Lewis College athletics and our soccer program, a man who needs no introduction, Mr. Martin Dirks.
It's bright up here. Before I get to talking about the honor of inducting Jeremy, I just want to say to everybody, the easiest thing was helping the program, and anything I did to help it has been paid back tenfold by all of you, and I really appreciate it. It's wonderful to see success, and look around. This room oozes success. So Jeremy was born in northeast England. And growing up, he came through some soccer academies there, played for different teams. But his true love, and I think his dream, was always to play and coach Leeds. So when he came to Fort Lewis, the first thing he did, the most important thing he thought he needed to do as a coach, was to change the crest on the uniform to match Leeds United. And it's good looking, isn't it? Looks just like Leeds. Oh, that bombed. Okay. So where do we go from here? So many stories. Which one should I tell? One time I went out to see Jeremy after he left here, and it was his first year coaching Charlotte, and I went to St. Louis. No, I can't tell that one. One time, Jeremy was in Albuquerque recruiting, I believe, and I called him and it said, let's go to Chicago and we'll go see England play the U.S. national team. I can't tell that one. One time, Jeremy and Ogie came to my house for Nope, can't do that one. It's getting harder. When one time, I think it was either 2000 or 1999, I was reading the LA Times. And they have scores of different collegiate scores. And there was Division II soccer championships, the championship. And I look, and I don't know who Fort Lewis played that day. They lost in overtime, but it was the 99 championship game. And I go, holy shit, I didn't even know we had an NCAA soccer team. And I'd just been put on a charitable foundations board. I thought, well, I'm going to call this guy and see what he's all about. And I called Jeremy. And he picks up in his office. And I told him who I was. And I said, well, what can I do to help? And he said, and he hemmed and hawed a little bit, not much. And I said, well, would a scholarship do you any good? And he said, oh, yeah, that'd be wonderful. And I could just see Jeremy in his office, sitting back, rolling his eyes. Who is this wanker? This guy. Come on. This just doesn't happen. The next week, Jeremy opens up the mail, and there was the check. And as Darren said, his assistant coach later, it became the perfect storm. It really did. There was 10 years where Fort Lewis was just a dominant program. So dominant that really Jeremy's responsible for every other team in the RMAC getting better and having better facilities, because they saw what went on here, and they all owe him a debt of gratitude, because it wouldn't have happened. It just wouldn't have happened without Jeremy. I can't really see this, but I'll try. Well, let me put on my glasses. Unfortunately, I can't remember everything like everybody else does. I got to read it. If I can get the glasses out of my pocket. Okay. I will read some stats. In 8 years as head coach of men's soccer at Fort Lewis, Jeremy Gunn won 5 RMAC titles, went to 5 NCAA Division II tournaments, went to 3 championship finals, winning the 2005 championship for FLC's first ever NCAA championship title in any sport. At Charlotte, he took the 49ers to another NCAA championship game. And then on to Stanford. As head coach, he won the Pac-12, in itself an achievement, 6 times, made 9 NCAA tournaments, and won 3 NCAA Division I championships. In 24 years as a college head coach, Jeremy Gunn has never had a losing season. Before coaching, Gunn had a successful playing career in college and professionally. A lot of his professional and collegiate games were played in California, and I've had the opportunity to meet some of the people that had to play against Jeremy, and the one common denominator is they said, I have met a few of his, and to a man, they said, it was a very unpleasant experience playing against him. When all is said and done, it may be that Jeremy's greatest trait is his ability to teach young men to be good citizens. The best way for me to sum up my good friend is to quote the words of, believe it or not, U.S. General Norman Schwarzkopf. Quote, leadership is a potent combination of strategy and character. But if you must be without one, be without strategy. I've never met any man with more character than Jeremy Gunn. Congratulations, Jeremy. You deserve this honor. Oh, it is bright. Yeah.
Just real quick, just a couple of thank yous. And, you know, when we talk about coaches, it's funny, isn't it? We say we win games, and we don't do any of it. It's the players that are getting honored today are the people who do all the hard work. We just lose our voices shouting at people. So, but thank you, Travis, for putting on an amazing event, and to all the FLC community for supporting this. You know, it's just a fun time to get together with friends, isn't it? And then, you know, just the thank yous. Just really, just what I want to say is that the AD that hired me, J.R. Smith, came out on the interview, and you had the old media guides, and the coach that I was coaching for, Simon Tobin, who was my mentor, He'd taken the media guide and scribbled a pair of glasses and a mustache on this nice, clean-shaven man who was the AD on the first page of it. And when I got picked up by the AD, I had this in my hand, and then I suddenly realized he just... The funny thing was, JR actually was wearing glasses and had grown a mustache since the picture, so knew it was a good fit from there. But no, just what an amazing place Durango is, and I had 8 just special years here, and just so many incredible memories, just with the youth soccer organization, and just, like we say, just such a special community of people that it's unlike anywhere else, really, you know. And so just, you know, the main thank yous that I'd like to say, obviously thank you to my lovely wife, Janet, and the 2 little boys for coming and supporting us here today, so thank you. Martin said I should have had flowers for you, so I've already made a mistake there. But you know, the big ones, obviously, was just getting to know Martin here and how he just allowed us all to just dream so big, you know. It's amazing how just those few moments in life just change your whole trajectory with everything, and how Martin's influence on the program just completely changed everything for all of our lives. And so we're always going to be forever in your debt, and I'm even more in your debt for not telling any of those 3 stories. So thank you, Martin. I appreciate that the most. But no, just the great influences we had. I think Oige already mentioned Andy McDermott, and you know, as a strong-headed young coach thinking you knew everything, I got the opportunity for an older gentleman who'd coached at Arsenal to come in and help out. And so what really changed after Martin's support, what changed with the soccer program on the field, came from a meeting downtown where I met this coach the night before the season, and I basically sat and told him all the things we were going to do, because he was going to come in and help out for a couple of weeks. And I went through everything, and I explained how he would just be able to dovetail in with what we were going to be doing. And after I'd ranted and raved for about an hour, he goes, Jeremy, why don't you just let me take the session tomorrow? And for some crazy reason, for the one time in my life, I listened to somebody, and I think Cole's in the room. He can be a testament to it, that it just changed everything on the field forever, basically, with all of us involved. And so it's a pity he's not here with us today, but an immense gift to our program. And then another person that really changed the trajectory of the program as well was Dr. Dan Freegang, sports psych guy. I heard him talk, and I was having trouble replacing the great leadership of people like Luke here. And so I invited him in to come and check out the program and see if he could help me out. So I was figuring we needed to get better leaders, better captains, better people pushing the program forward. And he spent a few days here, and he said, well, it's pretty obvious why you're not doing well developing these people. It's because you spend all your time talking. So I tried to learn from him, and we ended up making a pretty good captain in Oige, who's here in the room today, who was the young man that lifted the first championship for us. So, yes, just give him a round of applause. So, but yeah, so, I mean, the bigger thanks as well, obviously, go to Ogie. We've had such an amazing journey together at different places, and so excited to see what he's going to do at San Luis Obispo. And yeah, it's way more than soccer when you spend so much of your life together. And it's been so much fun. And obviously, it wouldn't be right to be back in Durango without giving Morgo a mention, because he was, I had a lot of great assistant coaches here, but you know, we had some fairly lively student athletes, shall we say, and Daz's job, I told him, was to go to every bar in town every night to make sure the guys weren't there. And boy, did he do that, didn't he? If you notice some of the pubs that are shut now, it's because Darren left town, yeah. So, but no, we had just amazing people, and obviously, I guess if we're going to talk assistant coaches, and obviously Kirch is in the back of the room there, and he's now the coach of one of those crappy Denver schools. So, but again, just wonderful people that, yeah, Ogie stole my fire when I would have been saying you surround yourself with better people than you to make things look good, you know. But, you know, the memories here would go on forever, and I'm not going to talk forever. Thank you, Luke, for setting that time limit. I appreciate that. But just want to say thank you so much, and for all of you young players, just enjoy the moment. It's such a special time of life, and then it's even more special when you keep coming back together. And remember, it's not really the soccer we talk about. It's the fun, it's the human emotions, it's the excitement, it's the failures, just everything that comes out of being a student athlete that's just truly, truly amazing. And, you know, as coaches, we had the best jobs in the world being around young people in the prime of their lives and just getting to be a part of all of that excitement. So keep enjoying it all and keep coming back. Fort Lewis is a real special place. And certainly just want to wish the current teams the very best of luck. And also a huge congratulations to everybody who's getting nominated today. And again, I think we've talked about coaches today, but now's the proper moment where we talk about the teams, because those are the special things that happen that make being a soccer player so great. It's not an individual sport. It's a great team sport where you're truly a part of each other's lives forever and ever. So congrats to you teams getting inducted in, and thank you to everybody here, and hope you guys have a great weekend, okay? Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach Gunn. It's been amazing getting to know you, and we started talking about this weekend months and months ago, and I know you specifically shifted spring practices and plans and recruiting periods to be here, and we greatly, greatly appreciate that. So let's hear it one more time for Coach Jeremy Gunn. All right, we're down to the end here. We've got one more presenter for two inductees. He is a past FLC administrator and Hall of Fame member, Chris Holland.
Move this up to proper basketball height there. Well, it's a real honor and a privilege to be here today because so many of my best friends from the past 30 years are here in the room. Some of you have been inducted today, some in the past, but this really means an awful lot to you. I was fortunate enough to be smart enough to actually marry a former Fort Lewis women's athlete who played volleyball for us and later coached us. And I think that gives me the unique perspective as a man into just the hardships women's sports have had through the years. Not at Fort Lewis, we're talking worldwide, from little kid soccer all the way up to Olympic level sports. And whenever I see something that's happened like what happened in 2010, it really makes you step back and pause for a little bit and reflect on how far we have all come. My first day as sports information director here in 1992, we hired two other people. One of them was Jeremy Fishbein, who really was the first person to become a true head coach of the program, of the men's soccer program. A couple of years later, we added women's soccer. Another person we hired that same day, Gus Bradley, who became a longtime NFL head coach. He's been an assistant coach in the NFL ever since. And so I'm kind of humbled that those two men joined me at Fort Lewis right out of the start. But all of us kind of came in and we looked at the department, and at this point, Fort Lewis wasn't winning too many games. We were having trouble attracting fans all across the board, every single sport. And we all kind of sat down and said, we have to advance forth together. My first task as SID was to create record books for volleyball and women's basketball and softball, the 3 team sports we had for women. We had them for the men's sports, but we didn't have them for the women. So I started researching that. And all of a sudden, all of us, we kind of got in tight with the women's programs at Fort Lewis. They realized we're all here, we're all in this together, we're fighting for one common fight. Fast forward to 1999, and we had hired our 3rd women's soccer coach. I believe the program started in '95. Jamie Carrozza was the first coach, and she inherited, Jamie Stone Carrozza, and she inherited some incredible women that were playing for the program then. Carissa Bradford, Kate Kelly, who's with us here today. And this 99 team of players who really didn't have scholarships, or if they did, it was a little bit. Funny, Hayley, that the first 2, if you will, superstars we had in women's soccer, Kate Kelly came here to play basketball. Kendra Keeley came here to play basketball. You came here to play basketball. Guess you guys all made the right choice. Well, we got through that year as, I think that was our 4th year of women's soccer. And we'd gotten competitive, but we really weren't winning. And we finished the RMAC regular season 3rd in the conference. Go to the tournament, and we upset Metro, and then we upset Regis. And to quote Kate, who forever ingrained herself into Helm and Hoodlum history for getting in a little bit of trouble sledding down a hill after, we just won the fucking RMAC. I can't believe Kate said that, but at that point, women's sports, they were on equal footing with some of those lunatics back there for the '99 men's team. And it was a wonderful place to be. Well, the growth continued, and the great players continued. And then all of a sudden, we were fortunate to get Damian Clark in charge of our women's soccer program. Damian had worked for me in the sports information office. He was a fiery young man as a teenager. He was a bit of a troublemaker. And Damian had to stop out for a little while, come back with a renewed vision right about the time the men's soccer program had a renewed vision. And then all of a sudden, he's become a head coach, and it was a complete about-face. He changed the character he was. He started recruiting teams that dominated in a different way. They dominated through possession, through toughness, low-scoring games. And I'm sure all of you can remember Damian on the yelling things like, keep your shape, or my favorite, it goes forward. Well, I think they know which way the goal is, but yes, he kept doing that, and I'd always wonder why he was doing this. And then 2010 happens. So let's look at that team. 18-3-2 was the overall record. The first team in women's soccer history, not just to win that league championship, which is a great accomplishment. You have to play really well against the best teams in the leagues in just one weekend. No, what this team did was all year long, 12-1-1 in the RMAC. And they dominated, yet the scores were always close. Well, how do you do that? They outscored the opponents that year 47-24 with 18 wins, meaning at the minimum, 18 of those 24, the difference between, and net goals, those are one-goal games. How does a team win 18 one-goal games and overtime games and things like that? So I was interviewing Damian, we're talking about it, and we each came up with words. The first word that Damian said was tough. No team that I've ever seen at Fort Lewis epitomized the toughness. They expected it to be a 2-1 game or a 1-0 game. And where did that toughness come from? It came from a group of women who loved each other and believed in the mission and believed in one another. And there were some superstars on that team. Erica Schisler, All-American. Hayley, Hollenga, All-American. Cricket in goal, the toughest athlete I have ever seen wear the blue and gold in any sport, men or women, at Fort Lewis history. She had on her face a will to win. And it just moved forward through the back end, through the midfield, to the strikers, into the crowd, everywhere. You knew with her in goal, nothing bad was going to come of it. This team advanced to the NCAA playoffs, as they had been doing for a while now, hosted some games, won some games, got to the Elite Eight. The first and only women's soccer team in Fort Lewis history to get to the Elite Eight. Let's reflect on this 10 years later, where we have come and the accomplishments. And yes, there's championship banners, there's trophies, there's records that have stood the test of time. I'm the father of an 8-year-old girl, and what the 2010 team did, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank all of you. You've given that little 8-year-old girl role models, not in terms necessarily of championships or trophies or banners, but proof that persistence, hard work, toughness, words that, let's face it, in athletics we always haven't applied to our women's athletes. This is exactly what you represent. If Rosie wants to play soccer or basketball or football or the guitar or paint pictures or follow whichever path she may choose to follow, she does so right behind your footsteps, and I thank you for that as a father. It is my honor to bring into the Fort Lewis College Athletic Hall of Fame just the second women's athletic team in school history, but I promise you it won't be the last. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Elena Benavides-Sweetser, who was kind of like Grandmaster Flash with this crew. She kept them in line and apparently still does. Let's hear it for the 2010 Fort Lewis College Women's Soccer Team Athletic Hall of Famers.
Hi, baby. It's my kid. I'm a little short. Good afternoon, everybody. Stop. Good afternoon, everybody. Lena Sweetser. I was known on the team as Leaners, or that. My 5 names. First of all, congratulations to all inductees today. It's a very exciting day for everyone. I want to talk a little bit more about the 2010 team and how we started and how our season went, because I think that really defines our true character as our team that year. And Damo brought up a story, so I guess I can say that now too. So we ended our preseason game losing to Colorado Christian 0-4. And I guess you could say I was like a stinger and a stinker. And so we came home, and that is when we went to the hot springs. So a lot of us got in trouble. But we had 2 choices. We could have let that either ruin our season, or we could let it define and strengthen us to move forward in that season. And after many, many times up and down Chapman Hill, we all got together and we're like, let's not do this again. If we win, we don't have to go up Chapman Hill. So not only were we talented that year, we're also very smart. So we went on to win 4 games until we played Pueblo, and then we lost 2-1. I don't know if a lot of people know, but during this time, and then we had a lot of traveling at that time, but half the team actually got food poisoning from Quiznos or Chipotle, I don't remember. So we're all like, lifting each other up. Come on, guys, we got a game to play. But we made it through back home with a couple wins. So we lost that game, and then we started, after that, we went on a 14 non-losing winning streak, whatever you want to call it. And we made that all the way through the RMAC, and we lost to Regis in the RMAC tournament. I believe it was a home game. I don't remember. Mom brains and thing. So after that, but I think that truly was the moment that we realized that we had more in us. And so after that loss, we all came together and we strengthened even more. And that is when we started the national tournament. And we carried that strength with us all the way to Michigan when we played in a freaking blizzard. And we lost to the team that ended up winning nationals that year. So that was a very memorable time for me, not only as a collegiate athlete, but with my teammates, because we were a true team that year. We just weren't 20-plus individuals. We were one that year. So yesterday I was talking to Oige's dad, and he asked me the question, and he said, did you guys even know what you were doing that year and the history you were making as a program? And I told him, I said, really, no, we were just having a lot of fun. So I came to a realization yesterday that, you know, when you are doing something you're passionate about with the people who are important to you, like our team, and then you mix in having fun, success is bound to follow, and that was our definition of our team that year. So congratulations, guys. I'm proud of us. We did well that year, and come on up. Hayley, Niff, Oige, Jane, Cricket, Rachel, Madison, Maddie, Courtney, Laurel, Shay, Charisse, our coaching squad, and our trainers. You guys everybody made a difference that year.
There you go. Congrats. Congratulations.
I know, that's what I was like, ugh.
But it's kind of nice because then you can't like see everybody.
Yeah.
You can only see.
I didn't know what to do. I blacked out.
Well, and then I didn't know. Yeah, you did so good. I was gonna go up two rooms. You know how we're that.
Oh my gosh, and just stand behind her.
And then I would be super awkward.
Yeah.
I had my hair.
Little one.
Little one. Go that way. It was on YouTube. Put all the short ones like Mike Wazowski. What are we doing?
Are we supposed to stay up here? Slide. Yeah. Yeah, okay, now we're gonna go. 1 and 2 and 3 and practice this.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Awesome.
Congrats.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yes, definitely.
And you.
Chris. Thank you. I know.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm up.
Keep it rolling.
Let's hear it one more time for your 2010 Fort Lewis College Skyhawks. And I should mention, I'm just going to go out on a limb and guess the next team for the women who joined the Fort Lewis Athletic Hall of Fame. Hayley was also a part of the women's basketball team that took second in the nation. When that happens, she will become the first three-time inductee into the Fort Lewis College Athletic Hall of Fame. And she can still pretty much beat anyone in this room at horse, I'm sure. Before I move on, I want to take one chance from a past athletic administrator to athletic administrator to the current administration. It is refreshing to see the work that is being done right now in this department. Travis Whipple, my biggest regret not working still at the college is I didn't get the opportunity to work with you and your staff. Angela is the type of sports information director who I would have held myself to her standards. You have the best of the best here right now. Guy Meyer, who bled the same blue and gold as you do, as your assistant athletic director. Julie, you were a friend when we were at the college together, and I just love what you're doing here. This is the staff that will guide Fort Lewis athletics back to where we were a decade or 2 decades ago. And we are very fortunate to have them in our family. Let's hear it for them. I was at a beer fest. I know it's hard to believe that you might picture me at a beer fest last fall. And Corey Dean comes up to me and says, what are we going to do about getting the guys back together? Get folks at the games, men's soccer, women's soccer, athletic events. And I think you're going to see some big things in the future. Any success we have, all of you have already laid the foundation for, but we may be tapping into each of our wallets a little bit here to come to try to get Skyhawk Athletics rightfully where it is. And that's winning championships and hanging banners, but much more than that. I look at the women's soccer team, and we have doctors, nurses, educators, college professors, coaches, business owners, and support for the Skyhawk Athletics and Fort Lewis College. More importantly than championships, it graduates students and student athletes. I didn't mention that about that women's soccer team. They demanded excellence of themselves in the classroom, off the field, although apparently what happens on Dick Drive stays there. But my late brother Billy, who lived on Dick Drive, I was part of some of those shenanigans once in a while. You're paying for leadership. You're paying for the people who are going to represent you in office and offer you loans. And Hayley, when you move back to town, Zane Wells should be your first phone call. I know, I bought my house through the Wells Group. So keep that in mind. That's what you're paying for. That's the true measure of success. Onward we are to 2009 men's soccer team. Now, what is there to say about a team that posts a record as gaudy as 24-1 overall, with 21 straight wins to close out the year, outscoring their opposition by a ridiculous 118 goals to 13, winning an NCAA semifinal game 8-2, and then going into the championship game, and lo and behold, it's 0-0 on the board with a little over 10 minutes left, and they pull it out. There's something special about that's a different kind of dominance. The women's team in 2010 was possession and a will to win. The men's team in 2009 had an arrogance. They dared you. How dare you be on this pitch with me? Oh, you think you can play? Good. We're looking for a match. And I believe, what was it, 14-0 RMAC record that year? Just didn't seem fair. And you looked at what went on. I might have to even dig out my notes for this one. But this team became the pinnacle of what had been building at Fort Lewis College for less than 2 decades. It all started in 1990, right at the start of the year. Troy Bledsoe, athletic director, says, we're going to add men's soccer because Joel Jones, the late Joel Jones, president of Fort Lewis College, said we need to add men's soccer. So that first year, I think they played entirely a club schedule except for Colorado Christian. We counted it as varsity games because I think we split that 2-game set. And so we were 1-1 against Division II competition. The next year, just a ragtag team. It's club players, people walking on. And they weren't very good. Then Fishbein shows up, 92. And I remember distinctively his first season. It was rough. It was really tough. Jeremy was probably 22 or 23 years old. And some of the older helms in the back of the room that got to play for Fish, he wasn't always the nicest guy in the world. You had to get to know him. Coaches sometimes, especially on game days, they turn into something different, something evil. I'm talking to you, Gunn. Not so much you, Oige. Damo, definitely you. They get so serious, and not always the easiest guys to get along with, but for some reason, there were some early pioneers that by our third full season of men's soccer, they go up and they beat Regis, and they beat DU, and Denver University still playing Division II, and Metro, and they win their first league championship, and then the next 2 years get into the playoffs, and then Fishy's gone, and some British guy from California comes through here, not too much different in age than the other Jeremy. And in '99, he inherits a ragtag team, and he adds some other things through it. I think we had 24 players, 25, all of them born in the United States, which was unheard of. And these folks there were some real characters. I mean, I think you saw the rapper Luke Cisna up here on stage today, Benj and Brian Frederick here. Let's see if I got it in here. Andy Finley's here today, some others. Freddie, Cole, I got your can of Copenhagen up here. Just don't let Gunn see you. So what does this team do? They march, they squeak into the NCAA playoffs, had to win the RMAC League Championship, and they got in, but we somehow were the #1 seed. We're playing a team from Texas that probably had no business being on the pitch. We get into overtime, get into penalties, and we end up advancing, and then I think it was UC Davis, and next thing you know, we're on a plane for Florida, and we're in the Final Four, and we're supposed to lose to Barry. Barry's supposed to be the team that can give Southern Connecticut State a run, and we somehow beat them 2-0. Then we somehow take Southern Connecticut State, a dynasty of like 7 or 8 titles in a decade, into double overtime before losing. And it was like, wow, that was nice. We had a little run. The Helms, as they called themselves, this group of wackos, somehow managed to make a run to NCAA championship game. And we continued to be pretty good. And then 05 hits, John Cunliffe, boom, we're there. Win a national title, have a runner-up. And we're still pretty good. We're still pretty good. But at this point, we're not yet a dynasty. And then 09 hits. Good Lord. I look around the room at these guys, every single one of them capable of dominating a game at any point in time. National championship game, 1-0, last 10 minutes, and there's a defender pulling the ball off the goal, saving a goal. I'm looking at keepers like Zane, who was an All-American that season as well. I think we had 5 or 6 on that team that year. Pretty impressive. But by 09, we were the pinnacle of what a team should be and a team could aspire to be, not just at Fort Lewis College, but at Southern Connecticut State, or you name the Division II program. This was it. That was as close to perfection as you could possibly get if it wasn't for a rainy and tornadoes and hurricanes and thunderstorms down in Texas, shortening a game to 70 minutes or whatnot. Might have been a 25-0 season, but pretty impressive. I have some show and tell here, though, and then we're going to see a little bit of a video. But to show you the history of Fort Lewis College soccer, men's soccer, with 3 garments, I welcome my son, Otto Olland, who was 2 years old when the 2009 team won. We're going to start, well, we already saw the Copenhagen, so we got by the 99 team. The bucket hat shall forever live in Fort Lewis College history because in the game against Cal State Dominguez Hills, I believe it was 1-0 or 2-1, I'm sitting on the scorer's table, and all of a sudden a large naked man vaults over the fence and starts running the length of the field, clad only in some boots and socks and a bucket hat. Otto, the bucket hat. You got to keep that on for a second. And somewhere, and I believe it's Donnelly's dad, has a screensaver or something, a skin that has this on it. You got to check out his cell phone. So the bucket hat forever lives in infamy. And a referee who comes over to get yelled at by the opposing coach, like, you didn't see that? You didn't see that large naked man streaking down the field right next to you for 100 yards? Nope. Well, that explains everything. That was the greatest insult I've ever seen to a referee. In fact, the assistant referee on the sideline laughed his butt off. The next thing we have is the actual jersey David Barden won when he decided to do things like score hat tricks in the semifinals and national championship winning goals. It does not fit me anymore. That represents right now the pinnacle of Fort Lewis College men's soccer success, 24-1, your team. Otto, would you remove that? The legacy of 2009 is what happened 2 years later. My wife and I was all set to fly down to watch us win a national championship game, and my son, my other son, Gus, passed away a couple days before the plane was supposed to leave of a rare virus that babies can catch. And I'm not far from the funeral. Our AD and some of the staff stuck around for the ceremonies. I didn't realize that Oige had asked the team to wear black armbands for us or anything like that. But I did make it down to the embassy to watch the semifinals and later the finals. Actually, I watched that from the office because we had basketball that night. And everyone was gathered around. We had the game on here in the gym on the radio before women's basketball's playing. And I remember when Barrick Blackwell hit that header in overtime, the CSU Pueblo coaches and women's basketball players and their radio people were elated, and they all came over and piled on me with hugs because they knew how much it meant to me. And I see this picture in the Durango Herald of one of the members of the 09 team who also played in 11 wearing this, celebrating on the field, and that's Ryan Worth pulled that off. It's still my most valued possession. Otto's wearing that. They won these championships for different reasons, just like the 09 women's soccer team won championships for different reasons. But the biggest reason they did is there's a love and a passion for one another, a shared experience. I'd like to welcome the captain of the 2009 men's soccer team to the stage here in a moment, but we do have a video to see shortly, and then Jeff Jennings and his trusty steed and sidekick, David Barden, will join us on stage.
Good evening, Durango and Fort Lewis College. Just a short message from London, England, to congratulate all of the inductees for the 2023 Hall of Fame. Special thanks and congratulations to Jeremy Gunn and Oige Kennedy, well deserved, on their legacy and their achievements at Fort Lewis. 2006, 2009, 2011 national champs, and the quality program that you set up and continue to run. Many thanks for letting me be part of that. Congratulations to individual players, John Cunliffe and Hayley Hollenga. It was a pleasure to have watched you play and to have got the opportunity to work with you. Teams, 2009 women's soccer. I had the chance, thanks to Damien, to work with a lot of the players from this team, growing as a group and a family. Congratulations. 2009 men's program. It was my privilege to have worked with such a group of players, individually and collectively. I have so many quality memories that I will always remember. I'll raise a glass or two with all of you on Saturday night. Many thanks to Obi on all the help along the way. I hope your guitar playing has got better. Again, my congrats to all of the inductees for this evening. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Have a good night. Bye.
How's it going, everyone? Amazing to be up here, profoundly proud and deeply grateful to share this moment with the other inductees and my teammates and brothers. And just to start, actually want to have everybody come join us from the start. So come on, up on the stage. And there's for me, a reason, a special reason to do that right from the start is whenever I came to Durango in 2006, as an 18-year-old, I had just had a challenging year of my life where my father had passed away, my mother recovered from breast cancer, and when I got here, these guys around me, they took me under their wings. Special thanks, of course, to Jeremy and coaches along the way, Martin, everyone. But just for me, it was such a pivotal moment in my life where these guys lifted me up. And I say that all because it's very much I think what defines this program, what defines the men's and women's soccer teams in general, is that we would fight for each other, we were there for each other, and we would go to battle and die for each other. So I'm just immensely grateful for these guys behind me and for for everybody that I shared that time with in my life. So
I got it. Thank yous. It's always interesting to hear a recruiting story from any one of these players, how you ended up here. Personally, coming from Michigan, I have an interesting story. And thank you, first of all, to Darren Morgan for being at a tournament in California that I just happened to be invited to go to. Recruiting was not plentiful in Michigan for me, and I was lucky enough to get asked to come out to the camp before senior year, which none of these guys were at. But I actually was under Cole's, Sweetzer's wing, and Oige was one of my counselors. And it was really, surprisingly, Eric Harden, of all people, who convinced me that this was the place to come. And Eric left the next year. So interesting how that works. But yes, thank you very much. Thank you to Jeremy Gunn for talking to my parents and pretty much giving my parents 100% confidence that I was being put in the right hands. It's always funny hearing, I just heard from my dad the other day, hearing about Kieran and Cunliffe coming out to Fort Lewis with all their bags. I guess I got sent on the airplane with one bag and made it here and instantly made friends with Dawson Emmerich and started stealing clothes and food from his parents and staying there, which I'm still staying there this weekend. But it's coming into this community, we got welcomed so quickly, and all of us can say that we have a family in this town that has looked out for us, if not multiple. Thank you to Kate Stalin for giving a lot of us jobs, working with the community, with DYSA, where, again, we found many families to mooch off of and get rides, and we still have relationships with a lot of kids that we coached. For a lot of us that started off our coaching careers, which a lot of us still do. Thank you specifically to Oige. Oige came in the same time I did. We started coaching together in the summer camps, and I knew right away that this is somebody that I wanted to be around. He was a great mentor. I can't share any of the stories that we had as players together, and then turn around a couple years later, and he's got to keep a straight face and be our coach, knowing what goes on. But the trust there, thank you for Oige and Obi for trusting us seniors to lead the team. There are incredible class of seniors we had that year and red shirts from the year prior that really did a lot of leadership from behind the scenes. Thank you to our training staff for keeping us healthy, Ewan especially, Fabian. A lot of guys that were game day only, they spent their careers in that room. Wayne, thank you, all of our specific trainers. I really want to thank, most importantly, all of our parents for all the sacrifices you guys have put and made for us to be here. I know now as a parent how hard it is, and what you guys do is amazing. The time, the commitment, and just overall giving us the opportunity to be here. And I'm very happy to be able to share this experience with you guys because it truly means a lot to us that you guys can share in this with us because this is an amazing group of guys. And yes, we were arrogant, and some of us still are today. Talk to Woody and Settle, they'll tell you that we can take on any of Jeremy Gunn's teams right now. So, yeah, there's a couple City League games coming up. These boys could jump in. But thank you all very much. This is an unbelievable team. We got Corey Dean, Abdel Pizarra, Tom Settle, Ryan Worth, Keen Hamilton, Nate Bell, Kyle Wood, Zane Wells, Byron Seifers, Ewan Purcell, Zach Proctor, Ogie, Jeffy. This is some of my best friends, still to this day. And it means a lot for us to be able to get back here and share this experience with all you guys. So thank you.
Well, that concludes our awards presentation today. I just want to say, what a weekend, what a day, what a class. Officially welcome to the Hall of Fame to all of our inductees. We are so grateful that each and every one of you were able to make it back to join us this weekend for just a historic time together. And thank you for really setting the standard for all current and future Skyhawks. And we look forward to staying connected with you. We'd love to see you out at Dirks Field 2:30 and 4:30 this afternoon for some great soccer. Again, thank you from the bottom of our heart for being here. To the top, go Skyhawks.